Sure, and now many living in the past. If they weren't big hit
Yeah.
players.
I imagine it must be very frustrating for some of these guys.
Right.
You know, like Farron Young, unfortunately, he took his life
Yes.
through what they say is based on the same thing. Just there's not a place for them anymore. And in the book, I really tried to include those stories behind the scenes and also just them talking about their perspective of the music industry. Because right now, a lot of these old-timers, there's just no place for them anymore. You know, slowly with XM satellite, there's those old-time stations, but no one's interested in their new material anymore. And I feel really bad for them because I still feel they have so much to offer. They're such interesting people. Yeah.
Why wasn't Miller embraced completely, do you think? I know he was in Nashville, certainly, and if you were a country fan or a songwriter, you knew. Then he went to L.A., and it was like did some of the Nashville types feel he'd abandoned them, he wasn't really country?
I believe the music industry people really kind of turned their back on all of his new material, because here's a guy who they called country. You know, if you look back to those old albums, Waylon Jennings looked country, Johnny Cash, The Man in Black was country, you know, Willie Nelson, Bandana, you know, it was very rhinestones, everyone kind of wore that role, but there was Roger Miller wearing an alpaca sweater, and, you know...
and a Cartier watch.
Yeah, and he didn't fit the mold whatsoever with the country artists. And I think that's where he was, sadly, somewhat forgotten. Like, I just can't believe that there was no book written on Roger beforehand, because here's the most colorful guy. He had more Grammys than anybody until Michael Jackson's Thriller album came along.
More Grammys than the Beatles.
Absolutely. He beat out the Beatles for King of the Road for Yesterday. So he was absolutely huge in the 1960s. And I think he just got this idea that he didn't want to have the traditional country look, and he didn't fall in the traditional mold, and that's why he isn't quite as well known. I think if he would have worn the rhinestone suits and a cowboy hat, people would know the name Roger Miller right away if he had a more distinct country look.
Sure. He was so much his own person, really. It seems to me, and I didn't know him either, but when he said you can't roller skate in a buffalo herd,
who else is saying that?
Who else is saying that? Well, he roller skated in his backyard, apparently. Somebody said that in here.
Right.
I don't remember who it was. Said, well,
George
occasionally,
Lindsay,
you never knew what he was going to get up to. He'd be roller skating in his backyard.
Yeah, he'd be doing bizarre things. He was really into motorcycles and fighting and fancy cars.
Right. Was he a drinker? Was he...
No, he didn't drink at all. You know, there's a great story in there about him drinking. He used to drink Coca-Cola all the time. And there's a great story that Tom Bresch, the guitar player, shared about him walking into a room, taking a Coca-Cola, and there's a room full of people, and he's like, just having a normal conversation, and he pours it right on his head, and Coke is dripping down all over him, and he goes, oh, I thought I was taller than that. You know, just
I wonder
like
if anybody ever had a real conversation with him where he didn't say something a little bit goofy. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he wasn't comfortable completely connecting to another human, he always had to make a joke, a pun, finish a sentence.
Yeah, he seemed like just one of those guys that was always on, always joking. And I imagine it must be frustrating if you're trying to have a normal conversation or ask him for advice on trying to make it in the music industry, that he wouldn't give you a straight answer. You know, he'd say things like, you know, my only advice is don't keep your pills and your change in the same pocket because I just took 35 cents. Yeah. So.
Has anybody made a movie?
No, I hope someday they do. I know we signed an option for a documentary, and we're hoping to get that.
That would be great.
Filmed. Yeah,
because even if you don't like country music, this is one of the great characters, one of the great music legends. Really?
Exactly. And I get emails all the time from people that have read the book, and they say, I've never been a country music fan, and I love the book just because there's such crazy stories in there. So you don't even have to really be a fan of Roger Miller. And if you aren't a fan of Roger Miller, I really wish I was that person who could listen to these songs for the first time over, because he has the most amazing catalog of music that I've ever come across by far.
He was a master phraser.
Absolutely. Yeah, every line just seemed absolutely perfect. Yeah.
One of these people, and I can't remember which one, said sometimes he'd go into the studio to record, and he had not finished writing the song.
I'm working on a new album right now, and I could not imagine paying $100 an hour for studio time plus hiring all these musicians. And Roger had the top musicians, the best studios in Nashville, and he'd show up, and the song wouldn't be finished. Like, could you imagine going in there? So the producers and the record label would be pretty upset because that was very, very costly. And he would just finish the song in the studio. And he came up with just some great stuff. Sometimes maybe it took him to be pushed right into that corner where you had to write something.
Sure, he was would you play us a little song, one of your songs, as we go into the break, and then we come back, we'll talk more about you and about your, I call him your hero, is that okay?
Oh, absolutely. I can't think of anyone that would be a better hero than Roger Miller. I learned so much from him, and he was such a talented guy.
Does this song have a title?
It's called Looneyville. A wise man once told me that everything wrong in this world is because of one problem. The lunatics are running the asylum. Hackers steal our passwords, fill our email full of smut. Family hour, TV time, escape the census cut. My neighbors thumping boom boxes, rattling the walls. Police are too busy to deal with nuisance calls. Everywhere I go, I'm told to be on high alert. Bleeding Heart Society, making good folks hurt. Johnny's popping steroids, he's the star in Little League. Uncle Dave left Aunt Bev to marry his friend Steven. I'm tired of living here in Looneyville, trapped in a rat race on a treadmill. I don't want to be part of this conspiracy. Lately everybody is irritating me. So lock me out of Looneyville and throw away the key. Lock me out of Looneyville, throw away the key. My grandpa, who lives in Shiho, Saskatchewan, told me that it's getting to be a dangerous place to live. Years ago, they'd lock them kinds away, but now they got them smiling at me there on my TV. Widows on her cell phone at her hubby's wake. Insurance is a good thing, and good things just can't wait. I can't find a kid who'll cut my grass or pull the weeds. They don't need the extra cash, they download stuff for free. I'm tired of living here in Looneyville, trapped in a rat race on a treadmill. I don't want to be part of this conspiracy. Lately everybody is irritating me. So lock me out of Looneyville and throw away the key. Lock me out of Looneyville, kick me out of Looneyville, stick me out of Looneyville, throw away the key. Lately everybody is irritating me. Lock me out of Looneyville, throw away the key.
Great.
Oh, thank you very much.
That's great. Let's take a break.
Appreciate it. And so I guess Roger was there for her through that, because Roger was really close friends with Patsy Cline, and he was actually the very first on the plane at the plane crash site. So I imagine that would be pretty tough.
Really tough.
Yeah, finding your friends scattered all over the place.
Why
It's sad that he only lived to be 56 years old, but what a life. And
What a life.
he contributed so much and has so many great albums, and he left so many great memories behind, and his friends just absolutely love him. He would make little statues out of soldering with coat hangers and stuff in the hotel rooms when he was bored. He would take apart clocks and put them together. Like, I've never even heard of anyone doing that. Take apart a clock right from scratch, or he'd take a clock that's broken in an antique shop, and he would get it working again. Like, he was just absolutely a genius all the way around, from his songwriting to being able to put together clocks, just his interactions with his friends, the stuff that came out of his mouth. He was probably the funniest entertainer around. And and he only had a grade 8 education, so amazing.
By